I'm not understanding why so many people are calling for a change. I think Carlos Mendoza is an asset.
日本時間4月26日にはレッドソックスのアレックス・コーラ監督、同29日にはフィリーズのロブ・トムソン監督が相次いで解任され、いよいよ首元が涼しくなってきたメッツのカルロス・メンドーサ監督。29日の試合前に両監督の解任ニュースへの感想を問われたメンドーサ監督はこのように答えている。
It's a reality, you know. It's a reality. It sucks. What happened to those two guys that I consider one of the best at what they're doing, you know, especially Tom's one of my mentors, you know, and you hate to see it happen, but you understand that it's the business, and when you don't see the results, you know, it happens. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to run away from it, you know, but the one thing I can do is just continue to show up here and get the best out of my players. So that's my responsibility, what I'm spending all my energy, but obviously I understand the whole situation.
なおこの日の試合ではソト選手が怪我からの復帰後初ホームランを放つなど1対0と快勝したものの、首位ブレーブスとは 10.5 ゲーム差、フィリーズと並んで最下位という厳しい状況は依然として続いており、先日3回もタズに降板した千賀滉大投手、そしてセンターを守るルイス・ロバート・ジュニア選手が故障者リスト入りするなど、戦力的な意味合いでも上昇気流に乗っていくことは難しいと言えるだろう。ここからメッツの最新状況やメンドーサ監督の去就に関するファンやメディアの意見を紹介していく。
I'm not understanding why so many people are calling for a change. I think Carlos Mendoza is an asset. Matter of fact, if I'm Steve Cohen, I'd come out and extend him. Send the message now. Build the foundation. He's not going anywhere. This isn't him. Stern's going to be back for a year. I'm giving him an extension. Put that to bed. Now it's directly on the players who I think are the ones who are to blame for this mess. Have you heard anything? Where are we at with the idea of maybe moving on from
That's
Mendy?
strong, Sal. I like it. I like it. That's a strong opinion.
Hey, you want to put that stuff away? Because otherwise it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
Cohen could come out and be like, oh, no, he's got our vote of confidence. And then the Mets get swept again. And then what? Everybody's going to be saying the same thing. The only way to nip it in the bud, if you believe in Mendy as the right guy for the job, what's the harm in extending him for another year and playing this out with Stearns and Mendy for one more year next year beyond this one?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And to your point, I think that the Mets want to support Carlos Mendoza. That much we saw at the end of last season, right? Because they could have gotten rid of Carlos Mendoza there. They decided not to. They did almost everything else but fire Carlos Mendoza. So that to me shows that there's a lot of faith in him to turn this around and to be the manager of this club. Like I said before, to make that change now would be for change's sake, and sometimes there is merit to that. I just feel like there's just so many other problems for this club. Top of the list is just player performance. The team isn't changing if you change the manager.
Alex Cora goes down. Rob Thompson goes down. Does Carlos Mendoza go down? If you think about the reasons why two great managers, look at Rob Thompson's win-loss record over the last 3.5 years. 90 wins a year, right? Was he really the problem? But when you fire a manager, that basically says to the players, this guy who is loved and respected in baseball that will probably get another job somewhere had to get fired because you are not doing what you need to be doing. That's the message it really sends. You can't fire the players, so you fire somebody close to the players that you can get rid of, that is dispensable in a sense. Does that, Thompson, Cora, does that wake-up call in two other clubhouses wake up the Mets to realize Carlos Mendoza could get fired here, and it's nobody's fault but our fault? We'll see the response. But to me, this might be the best thing that happens to the Mets without having to fire the manager. Seeing two other very well-respected managers lose their jobs because of poor performance. Does that wake up the New York Mets? Because if it doesn't, who knows what happens next?
I don't know what they're going to do with Kodai Senga at this point.
They have 15 days now to figure it out.
Well, right. They just bought themselves 2 weeks of IL time. But they literally said he wasn't going to make another start. His ERA, I think this year is in the 17s. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This all sounds like a parody, but it's not. And he also said through his interpreter after that last start that I forget what the exact wording was, but essentially would have to think about, or something to the degree of he'd have to consider an option to AAA. The Mets are nearing DFA territory with Kodai Senga. Imagine if you could imagine me saying that a year ago.
It's really, really amazing, I have to be honest.
What else do you do with the guy? He won't go to AAA. You can't really put him in the bullpen with sort of what he requires, and he's made it clear he wants to be a starting pitcher. So what do you do with Kodai Senga?
The decision is looming, and it's not going to be so good. I'm not sure.
I don't know what they're going to do with.
This is something about New York sports fandom that I actually appreciate. If you are a member of a New York sports team and your team is performing well, there quite honestly, in my opinion, is nowhere in the country that fans will cheer louder for you or show up more. But if you suck, they won't even go out of their way to take the subway. Not even if it's the subway they take home from work every single day. They will not go to Citi Field to watch a team that sucks, especially if that team was supposed to be good and there were high expectations for that team coming into the season. They won't go.
And they have a $400 million payroll, just for instance, hypothetically.